Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to Real Madrid Hub again. I'm your host, Dr. Jota, and in this video I would like to speak about the two young players with whom Ancelotti might surprise to all Real Madrid fans the next season, because we've been talking a lot about Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, David Alaba and all these big names, but we never talked about, we barely talked about players that are succeeding right now, not only with Real Madrid, but also with Spain, with the national team of Spain. And these names, these two guys, are Brahim Diaz on one hand and Antonio Blanco on the other hand. And these guys have a lot of chances for the next season to play in Real Madrid and become really important. For example, let's get started with Brahim Diaz and why I do think that he might have a chance with Carlo Ancelotti as of the next summer. Okay, if you take a look at the numbers of Brahim Diaz in Milan, as you know, he was given on loan last summer to Milan with the possibility to extend his contract in Milan one more year on loan, so he still have another chance to keep playing for Milan the next season. But the problem is Brahim Diaz has performed incredibly good in the Italian club. He has scored 7 goals. He has had about 2,000 minutes in the whole season, which is good. It's way more than the minutes he played in Real Madrid. Of course, he's found the opportunity that was denied in Real Madrid last season. And although a lot of people out there are still thinking that he will be back in Milan the next summer, to me, Brahim Diaz, and according obviously to the information I've been reading today after that he scored last night with Spain, a very, precious, gorgeous goal. It was beautiful goal. After that, apparently Real Madrid was giving the possibility to choose what to do with his future, whether stay in Real Madrid or get back to Milan, right? So maybe a couple weeks ago, the decision regarding to Brahim Diaz from Real Madrid, from Florentino Perez and Ancelotti and the people surrounding them, it was pretty much to give and extend the loan of Brahim Diaz in Milan one more year before to take any decision. As you can imagine, what normally happens is that the players that Real Madrid give on loan every single year, they typically spend a couple years in another team, and depending the results, depending the results and the minutes they could play and a bunch of circumstances, then they decide to go ahead and recover the guy back or just sell him, put him in the market, and that's it. So that is what normally happens in Real Madrid with the loanees. In the case of Brahim Diaz, although that was the plan a couple of weeks ago, right now Real Madrid is considering to get him back. Ancelotti wants to test the Brahim Diaz in the preseason and see the player, playing along these other super great names like Rodrigo, Asensio, Vinicius and Hazard, Gareth Bale and all these guys, because it's pretty obvious that in Milan you will have more opportunities because the competition is, less, the competition is not as hard as it might be in Real Madrid, and of course, is generally speaking, it's not a cutthroat competition. So that way, Brahim Diaz will find again more opportunities in Milan. But if he still thinks that he wants to succeed in Real Madrid, maybe this is the chance he was looking for in the past to succeed in Real Madrid eventually. You know what I'm saying? And in my opinion, Ancelotti, I mean, the good news for Brahim Diaz is that all these players Real Madrid have for those similar positions in the attack, I'm referring to Asensio, Hazard, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Gareth Bale. I mean, well, not Gareth Bale because he's been playing for Tottenham. Let's say Asensio, Hazard, Vinicius. I mean, Brahim Diaz has better numbers, has better scores, and better performances than the whole guys, these all three guys combined. He has scored more goals. He has assisted pretty much the same or very similar numbers. So that way, Ancelotti might give him the opportunity to be ahead of them. You know what I'm saying? Because for many people out there, Asensio, Vinicius, and Rodrigo didn't step ahead and didn't become, more important players, or they didn't succeed, right? So for a lot of people out there, Asensio, Vinicius, Rodrigo, and all these players should be behind Brahim Diaz. So that's why I think that Ancelotti might give him the opportunity to succeed now, this year, this summer, this season in Real Madrid. And now let's move on and let's talk about Antonio Blanco. Although he plays in a position where Casemiro is the first option, let me tell you that Antonio Blanco might become, over the season, in one of the most important players in Real Madrid. And the reason is pretty much because we don't have any natural replacement, any other natural replacement for Casemiro. And although I think that Antonio Blanco can be used in different positions and is much more flexible than Casemiro, and he can do a bunch of things more than Casemiro, the thing is, if he is assigned to that position, I think that he can do a great job because he did it in the past. He played for the 5 games in Real Madrid in the first team. He had the opportunity to succeed, and in my opinion, he did. I mean, he convinced a lot of people out there that he may become great in Real Madrid, or at least one of the most important players. I mean, I'm not saying, and this is for Brahim Diaz and Antonio Blanco, I'm not saying that they will be lined up right in the first game since the beginning of the season or something like that. I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong. It'll take a little bit longer for them to play in the lineup of Real Madrid, but if Ancelotti, if Real Madrid, Florentino are unable to sign Kylian Mbappe or even Erling Haaland, these guys will have another opportunity. And even if we sign to one of those, Antonio Blanco and Brahim Diaz might become the 2 biggest surprises in Real Madrid when it comes to loanees, youngsters, or whatever you want to call it, because Brahim Diaz is coming from loan and Antonio Blanco is coming from the Real Madrid Castilla, so he's one of the young players from the second team. So these are pretty much the reasons why I think that Carlo Ancelotti might surprise everybody out there. And just because this project, in my opinion, will build up based on the young guys. I mean, the younger guys, the youngsters, the loanees, and all these people. And all this is with permission of Martin Odegaard. We still have to know what is going to happen with the Norwegian player. We still have to know what is in his mind. We still have to know if Arsenal wants to go ahead and sit down with Real Madrid to negotiate the purchase of Martin Odegaard. You know what I'm saying? But aside of that, Brahim Diaz and Antonio Blanco, in my opinion, will be pretty much the 2 biggest surprises of the season. And I would like to say the same regarding to Miguel Gutierrez, but the problem is, before for him to become another important player in the first team in Real Madrid, we still have to find a solution for the situation of Marcelo. Because as you know, we still don't know what is going to happen to Marcelo. Apparently, the Brazilian player wants to stay in Real Madrid, but Real Madrid wants him to leave this summer. And the reason is pretty much because we already have 4 players for the same position, and that is not acceptable. I mean, if you keep in mind, Ferland Mendy, Marcelo, David Alaba, who also can play in the left back, and also Miguel Gutierrez, that would be 4 players. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, no matter what happened with this guy, with the, the left back position, Miguel Gutierrez, Marcelo, but nothing to do with Brahim Diaz and Antonio Blanco. In my opinion, these 2 guys, will be the biggest surprise of Real Madrid this season. So now, let me know your thoughts about that. Just comment in the section below. And of course, subscribe to my channel, Real Madrid Hub.